All right. So I have for the Two-Spirit presentation, we have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to go and start that. And like I said, we're going to have another presentation of the Gay Health Task Force after that, and then we'll open it up to questions. So. All right, so hopefully everybody can see. I'm going to go fairly, so Steve and I will be kind of alternating stuff, but and hopefully folks can see the presentation. So folks that may not know what Two-Spirit, the term means, I hope, like I said, I don't like to do slides with a lot of text and stuff, and this is probably the only slide that has the most text. But basically the middle definition is probably one that folks might be most familiar with. So a Two-Spirit person is basically a male-bodied, female-bodied person with masculine or feminine essence. Two-Spirits can cross social gender roles, gender expression, and sexual orientation. And so folks that were from the different tribes and were known to be Two-Spirit basically were kind of revered within their culture, and which in that once the colonization missionaries came in, then that tended to all change. So here, ever since the world began, there have been Two-Spirit people, and from the beginning of the world, it was meant that there should be Two-Spirit people. So this is from the Mojave creation story, just to demonstrate that, again, just going back to throughout history and culture, that Two-Spirit individuals have been part of the different cultures for many, many, many years.
Okay, this is the role of the Two-Spirit people. And we had like specialized work roles. A lot of us there that helped with the people in the communities that they lived in, the different, some of the tribes, the Two-Spirit people helped with the burials and all different things like that. And there was mediators, and there was our spiritual leaders and our medicine people. And a lot of times the medicine people couldn't pick certain medicines, and they'd send out a Two-Spirit person that was able to touch the medicines. Male couldn't touch it, or female couldn't touch it. So the Two-Spirit would go pick the medicines and prepare it, and then the medicine person would be able to use it. We were name givers, and we took care of our elder. So we had a lot of different roles as Two-Spirit people in our culture. One of the things is that when we say we're a Two-Spirit person, it carries a lot of weight, because it has so many responsibilities that goes with that term. And our Native societies, like I said, we had these responsibilities to our elder, our youth, and the people around us as caretakers, and share our knowledge with them. And we were knowledge keepers also.
So just to show briefly, just some of the Two-Spirit people from years ago. Talk about
Weewa, she was one of the most famous Two-Spirit people. She was from the Zuni tribe, and she was their leader. And even though she was a biological male, she lived as a female. And she was even known to go out to DC and meet with the presidents. And, you know, she was a really, what you call strong advocate and representative for the Native tribes and for the Two-Spirit people. In Running Eagle, she was a Blackfeet female warrior who was Two-Spirit. And she never ever married. And she was buried at this place called Running Eagle Falls. They had, it used to be called Trick Falls. It was it's up in Glacier National Park. And Earl Olperson, our chief, renamed it after Running Eagle. She's the only female Two-Spirit in our tribe that ever carried a male chief's name. And she was well respected. And she was a warrior woman and led a lot of raids on the Flatheads over on this side in Missoula area over this and over down in the Crow. So she was a feared warrior woman among the Blackfeet. And Tish was also a two-spirit person, another well-known one who died in 1927. And she lived as a female. I mean, yes, as a female, and she was also a warrior. And when they would go to war, she would take off her female regalia and she would put on her regular war party outfit. And then when they'd go to war, she would ride, and they would tell her, well, why don't you go as a woman? And she said, because I want people to know who I am as a person. And she was a brave warrior. And she even knew when she was going to die. A year before she died, she made her burial outfit, and this is it. And her Indian name was Finds Him and Kills Him.
And like I said, then with colonization, with the missionaries, and creating the different boarding schools that basically ripped, Native families apart, and the children were taken away in order to be assimilated into the American culture. So, and it was during that time that kind of any information or knowledge about the Two-Spirit was kind of like stripped away. So again, as Stephen mentioned, when we use the word Two-Spirit, it really does carry, some responsibility, and it's kind of a cultural term that relates to the role that you're playing, within your culture. So these are just some of the things that we're doing today to kind of bring back the Two-Spirit culture. That's kind of one of the primary things that all Two-Spirit societies share, is that they're working at trying to bring more awareness back about this culture that was sort of stripped away. So, but we're also like inclusive with the LGBT organizations and communities with regards to different events and celebrations. And the Montana Two-Spirit Society actually kind of like grew out in part through the Gay Health Task Force. Back then in the mid-90s, it was known as the Gay Men's Task Force. But it was kind of a joint venture. And there wasn't a lot of stuff that was being done that was targeting Native LGBT individuals. And so actually, I joined forces with at that time the statewide Montana LGBT organization, which was called Montana Pride, and we decided to host a Two-Spirit gathering. So that was the first time that it was done, was in 1995. And so that was kind of the beginning of the formation of the Montana Two-Spirit Society. And we've been doing the Montana Two-Spirit gathering now for, like as Stephen mentioned, for about 25 years. I mean, it's grown to be the largest Two-Spirit gathering in the Pacific Northwest. Again, another thing that we've also been involved in was with a lot of HIV testing and awareness, just because of the impact that HIV and AIDS has had on the Native communities. And so, so we just feel that that's been really important to make sure that we are offering that service, because several years back, a lot of the funding that was going to the Native tribes for HIV services got taken away, and so that's where the Montana Two-Spirit kind of stepped in and to ensure that those services would continue. So, so yeah. So then these are just some of the now we're just going to go to some pictures of the Two-Spirit people today, and hopefully we're going to show short video. This is our Montana gathering from a couple of years ago, which is held up on the shores of Flathead Lake. So I'm hoping that this video will play okay and y'all can hear the audio.
were born to be two-spirit people.
Being two-spirit is so far beyond our sexual orientation. Yes, we are LGBTQ, but it's our responsibilities and our place within our tribes that makes us two-spirit.
The Creator, our Akua, they are the ones who decided that we'll be the two-spirited people. And to be selected or to be chosen from our creators, to me, it's a blessing.
Two-spirited people, traditionally, were welcome in both the men's circles and the women's circles. Because a lot of our ceremonies have the separate sort of gender roles, but that those who are two-spirited could walk in either and be welcome in either, and kind of existed where the two overlap. And it's this beautiful kind of sacred space. So that traditionally we were sacred, we were revered.
In our culture, we were name givers. We were mediators, we were medicine people.
Our responsibility is to either be a teacher, a spiritual healer, a medicine person, basically someone who has both this and that, and to translate that into a way that helps inspire and yet provoke all of us to achieve our best qualities as human beings.
So to say you're two-spirit is saying, I'm a part of our circle that holds this special place.
In Native two-spirit people in our community, it's not about coming out, it's about coming in.
It's important for two-spirit societies to exist. They're a conduit for all of our nations to heal, and specifically the indigenous peoples. Until the two-spirit people are brought back into the circle, true healing is not going to occur within our people.
A lot of our people don't realize how we were taken out of that circle. We lost part of our culture, and we're here to help reclaim that culture, and we'd like you to be part of that walk and that journey. And we have these gatherings that you'll find so much healing. We have our healing circles and elders you can talk to. If you're having a problem, we're there for you. This is part of our journey and our duty to our youth and our people, to help them if they're struggling in their life, because it's so important for you as a two-spirit person to know where you belong in this circle.
You don't realize until you come to somewhere like this that everybody has the same struggle. You're not alone, you know?
The spaces that we are creating are so vital to the health of the next generation of two-spirit or Fa'afafine or Mahu and Takatapui folks.
These gatherings kind of gave me the strength to go back home and carry on and go back to that life, because I could come here and I could be Native and I could be gay. I could be a Nudale person.
Groups like Montana Two-Spirit Society are so important and critical because they're able to provide a space that you can't find anywhere else. Having a space like this that's structured, healthy, and provides that sense of community allows me to rejuvenate and recuperate. Even being a leader in the community that I get to be in now, I credit coming to spaces like this for giving me the strength to do that.
We need to stand in solidarity with other people who are two-spirit, who are being oppressed. We, as two-spirit people, or as Mentefuale, people in transformation, we have a role, and we need to be prepared to take on this role for our community and for our people, because our young people need to know that they have a right to exist from even way before colonization, before Christianity. You know, we were here, and we have always been here, we're still here.
The difficulties that we face as two-spirit people in today's society makes us stronger.
There's always somebody that will love you, and no matter where you are, who you are, what you choose to be, you're beautiful inside and out. And no matter what happens or what you're going through, the two-spirit community will always be here.
Today is the day. I think we not wait any longer to allow our youth, allow our two-spirit children to be who they are so that they can be successful, they can get their education, they can create beautiful things so that they can help others grow and be adults and be successful community members, leaders of our community, leaders of our country.
Hope is not a candle. I think hope is a fire that we need to fan and make brighter and brighter. When we link arms together, there's power that comes there. Building community like this, something special happens. And I think if we can find ways to recreate that and grow that in ourselves, the world's going to be much better for it. Non-Indian, Indian, Two-Spirit, and non-Two-Spirit alike.
So hopefully folks were able to see that. So that just gives you a little bit of background about the Montana Two-Spirit Society and also our culture. So again, I'm going to go pretty quickly with the last few slides so we can go on to the next presentation. But these are just some of our folks as far as leaders within the Two-Spirit community. And again, Stephen and I are kind of the co-chair, the co-founders of the organization. Again, some of our elders within the Two-Spirit community. And this is just our website. So, and it's mt2spirit.org. So, and you can kind of get more information at that site and reach us as well. And then you can also subscribe to our website. So, and yeah, so just this is just want to acknowledge and thank all of our Two-Spirit brothers and sisters, and to remember that teepees don't have closets. So, all right. So, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over to the Gay Health Task Force, and so I'll just give you a little bit of background. So I've been involved with HIV for 30 plus years. I started doing this work back in the mid 80s when I came to Montana. We really didn't have a lot of AIDS cases being reported back then, but I knew that Montana was going to be no different from the rest of the country. And so I've in this pretty unique position to be able to see kind of historically how HIV and AIDS have been has kind of evolved over the years from going to pretty much, you know, a terminal illness when we didn't have any treatments back in the late 80s. And so basically a lot of the work back then was defined by simply providing, you know, support and care for folks that were coming back to Montana, basically just simply to be with family and to die. And then again, when we did start to finally have treatments at the end of the 80s, a lot of those treatments were pretty harsh. And for some folks, you know, the treatments were worse than the actual disease itself. So again, HIV is a virus that attacks the immune system. So basically over a course of time, you know, folks basically did not have the ability to fight off various infections. So most people then ended up, you know, dying from, you know, different cancers. You know, pneumonia was one of the biggest things that people worried about. So, but then in 1995, things really changed with the advent of antiretroviral treatments and protease inhibitors. So that was pretty much the game changer that we began to see, you know, folks that immune system responses, you know, came back up, and you know, folks started to basically literally not die anymore. So, and folks were able to then begin to lead normal lives. So definitely there's been a lot of improvements, which is great. And yeah, so unfortunately we still have, you know, folks that are become infected every year here in Montana. And so it's still important for folks to, you know, to protect themselves. And again, another biomedical treatment that we have is now we do have actually a treatment to prevent HIV infection in the form of PrEP, which stands for protease pre-exposure treatment. So it's basically a pill that you take every day, and it can prevent HIV infection. Unfortunately, it does not prevent against other STD infections, so such as gonorrhea or chlamydia, which are probably two of the most common STDs among folks here in Montana, and particularly young people. But if folks have any interest in how to access this PrEP, then just contact us as well. So right now what the task force is really doing is we continue to promote a lot of the work through social media, and we provide the testing. We do testing here at our offices. We're also doing testing there on campus at the University of Montana through the Aloha Center. And so that's definitely available as well. So we provide the HIV. It's a 1-minute rapid test along with the syphilis and hepatitis C testing. So now I'm going to switch this over. We're going to kind of demonstrate really quickly how the HIV rapid test works. So here Stephen is going to agree to be tested, and this is one of our coworkers. This is Mila. So hopefully folks can see that and can hear me. So we're going to go and just demonstrate how this test works real quick. So the testing that we do is an antibody test. So which means that basically you have to give your body enough time to build up those antibodies if there was an infection. So we like to see anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So in other words, this test, is not going to tell us anything about something that may be potential exposure within the last, say, couple of weeks or so. Yeah, and the testing we do is confidential testing. So we just ask like a first name, but no names are reported to the state unless there's an actual infection that occurs. Yeah, so it's a relatively easy and painless process, and the most important thing is that we can get the results from this test within in about a minute or two. So that makes things a lot easier, especially for going out into the field and doing testing where time may be an issue. So yeah, so it's something that, again, that we've been doing since rapid testing became available. So rapid testing has been around, I'd say, for over 10 years. And yeah, so we are one of the largest contractors with the state health department in doing HIV testing services, primarily targeting not only gay, bisexual men having sex with men, but also the trans community, non-binary, queer, and the Native and Indigenous Two-Spirit community as well. So one of the things here in Missoula, we're really fortunate to have some amazing partners that we work with, such as the Open Aid Alliance, Partnership Community Health Center, the Missoula City County Health Department as well. So we basically work with them really closely to ensure that that we're staying up to date as far as, kind of different infections of HIV and what's happening in the community, so we know how to target our outreach accordingly. So Mila now has just started the test. It's just simply a little blood draw that is taken, and she's now running the test. And then all we'll do is just wait for about, like a minute, and then we'll have the results. So one of the things that we're also doing is right now through Well, we just finished a testing drive, but we're probably going to start up another testing drive in November that'll go through kind of mid-December. And so if you come in and get tested, you can get your name entered into a raffle, and where you can win different prizes. So we'll be doing like $100 cash for first prize, a $50 gift card for second, and then two $25 gift cards for second and or third and fourth. But yeah, and then if you bring in a friend for testing, then you can get your name added into the raffle second time for every friend that you bring in. So it increases your odds by putting your name into the raffle more than once. So I think we're at about a minute now, so we can probably read the test. And so I don't know if you, well, we can't see. So then the test, there's like a little, it's a dot. And so I don't know if you can see. There's a little dot, it's a single dot. So that shows that the test is working properly. And if there are two dots, then we'd say that that was a reactive test. But it's just you can only see like it's just one dot. So, but yeah. So that is basically the HIV test. And again, we also do the syphilis test, which ends up being a 10-minute test, and then the hepatitis C test is a 20-minute test. So those are longer tests. So let's see. So I'm going to take it back, and we'll go and we can just answer any questions that folks might have. So hopefully the lighting is better. Stephen will come back and join me. And so at this time, if folks have any questions, I think Torin has as the moderator is able to view any questions that folks can type in on the chat. I guess I just want to also mention, I forgot to mention that the Gay Health Task Force and the Two-Spirit Society, in conjunction with the Western Montana LGBT Community Center, we're also part of this Rainbow Mask project. So that we started distributing back in May and June. So we've distributed over 2,500 masks since then, and it looks like, since masks are going to be around for a while, the foreseeable future, this is probably a project that we're going to continue, provided that the funding exists to support the project. But it's something that we're really excited about, and if folks are interested in any of these rainbow masks, then you can contact the Western Montana LGBT Community Center. So if you just go email us at hello@gaymontana.org, send us an email, and or you can also reach us on Instagram and request a mask that way as well. So.
They're reversible. Yeah, they're reversible also, and they have an opening if you want to put a filter.
It looks like there are a couple questions in the chat. First one, are there two-spirit individuals in other indigenous cultures internationally?
Yeah, I mean, definitely when you look at other different cultures and stuff, you see a lot of striking similarities. Certainly, colonization did not simply occur just here in the United States, but it occurred in Hawaii, it occurred, the Philippines, in other countries across, the globe. And certainly, as we also know, within all the other different cultures, LGBT, individuals have existed, since air. So, so yeah. So I think it just kind of it just depends on every culture is very different. So to see how individuals were treated, that may vary from culture to culture. But everything that I've learned is that regardless of the different cultures, I mean, Two-Spirit people were carried responsibilities. They were revered. They were not, seen as something negative or bad, or as sinners. And so that really didn't happen until the missionaries and colonists came and changed everything.
And I just like to add to it, as Two-Spirit people, this term was coined just for the Native American people. All the other cultures have their own name for their people. I know, like, and each tribe actually has their own name for their own people. And I know our Blackfeet, it's called a Wawaki. And the Navajo is the Nudle. And different ones have their different names for their tribes, from their tribes for their Two-Spirit people. But we use this term Two-Spirit as an umbrella for all of our tribes.
And then another question, what happens at the summer gatherings and where are they held?
So for the last at least 3 or 4 years, the Montana Two-Spirit Gathering has been held up at the Methodist camp at Flathead Lake. Obviously, that did not happen this year because of the rising COVID cases this summer. And so, but we're hoping to be able to have our gathering in 2021. Again, it would be scheduled for August of 2021. And so it ends up being about a 3 to 4 day event. So we'll have different educational sessions, different presenters that will travel from both across the United States and Canada as well. And to do different presentations, whether it be on generational trauma, on transgender issues, mental health, just sexual health in general. So it's a variety of different sessions that we hold. The other thing that is part of the gathering is ceremony. So ceremony has always been very important to the Montana Two-Spirit Society. So we do different ceremonies, whether it be, we'll do like a pipe ceremonies that occur every morning. We've had name-giving ceremonies. We've done opening traditional ceremonies and closing ceremonies. We've had sweats at some of our gatherings. And yeah, so there's different types of ceremonies that we always try and make sure, depending on the individuals, the medicine people that can come in and have those, and given those rights in order to do those type of ceremonies. So we also do a powwow at our gathering. So that usually takes place one of the last evenings of the gathering. And then we also do some talent shows as well. So in order to highlight a lot of the amazing talent that exists within our community. And then we also we have the Mr. and Miss Montana Two-Spirit. So it's a pageant, and that also happens as well at our gathering. So those are just some of the different things that we do. There's a lot of crafts and stuff.
We also have a giveaway at the end of the powwow. I mean, the end of the gathering. And one of the things that we're really adamant about is bringing our culture back into our societies, like David spoke about, our ceremonies. And if we find people sometimes that can come in and teach about our traditional medicines, our plants and how they're used, we just like to bring that cultural knowledge and share it with all of our Two-Spirit people, and this way they can take a lot of that knowledge back to where they come from. And so we have a lot, like David was saying, we have pipe ceremony, and that's something we do every morning. We have a sacred fire, which is so important to us. We can sit around that and we pray with the fire, offer tobacco if we have somebody sick in our families. We have our our talking circles, our healing circles, where people maybe can't talk about it at home, but they can talk about it with the two-spirit people, that things that are happening in their life, and they can get help. So we have a lot that our gatherings offer.
Yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
And also we have, when we have our gatherings, we have registration, of course, and we have scholarships if people can't afford to pay to come to our gatherings. And so it really works out good. And we have such a wonderful, wonderful gathering every year, and it just keeps getting bigger. You have anything else?
There's another question. I live up in the Fort Peck Reservation, and I learned about the term Two-Spirit around late 2019 outside of the reservation. The term is hardly known. Do you think there needs to be more education and awareness towards the term Two-Spirit, and how do you think we can start those conversations about the Two-Spirit community?
Well, I've been to the Fort Peck Reservation many times. I have a lot of friends that are there, and I know that the Sioux, they're called Wink Day. And I had a friend that was from Fort Peck named Del First. And that's who I used to go see. And I was adopted into their family, Tuffy first and Del first. And then I have a friend there, Bev Bird. And we always talked about the two spirits there. And Del used to be with our society at one time. And well, you know, he's passed on, but he was from Fort Peck, and he told a story about the Wink Day there when he worked at the schools. He said there was a young man came in, a young kid, and he says they were calling him Wink Day. Well, and he said, and that was the short version of what their two-spirit people were called. He said it was a longer word, and in the Sioux language, this is what I was told by him, that it meant the one who talks to the one above. And over the years, with the colonization and stuff, people just start using it as a derogatory term, which it was never a derogatory term. And so Del set this young man down, this young boy, and explained to him what that word meant. And after that, he was proud to be called a Wink Day. So yeah, I think there needs to be more knowledge and presentations done to even our own people. Need to learn more about two-spirit people, because when the colonization and Christianity come in and they said it was evil and they didn't want to talk about it, and so it was really subdued. So we were forced into Christianity and that way of believing. And a lot of people don't know that when the Native people were put on reservations, that we had no choice of what religion we wanted to be. Ours was taken away, and theirs were forced upon us. Like, I know the Blackfeet, the government said Catholics can have this one. The Presbyterians got the ones down in Fort Peck, the Sioux. And if you go to different reservations, you'll find different reservations all have different denominations. And that was because of the government. So what we're doing now as two-spirit people is trying to reclaim our place in that sacred circle where we belong and we were taken out of. And like you heard on the film, it says until we're brought back into that circle, healing's never going to begin for us. So we need to. And now I know some of our spiritual leaders and medicine people are coming to our ceremonies, are letting us hold ceremonies, so which shows that we're being slowly brought back into that circle and accepted where we belong.
Great question. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
And then I think one last question, and it is, what does it cost to attend the workshop?
The gathering, you mean? I assume so.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, like I said, so the registration fee for the last several years has been, I believe, like $225, and again, that's like for like a 4-day stay, at the gathering. So it covers your lodging, meals, and all of the programming that goes on with the gathering. As Stephen mentioned, throughout the year, as the director, I'm writing grants in order to provide funding for the gathering and scholarships as well. So we definitely make a priority to ensure that cost is not a barrier to folks that want to attend the gathering, particularly for our youth and for our elders. So we definitely prioritize those demographics because that's part of what we want to do, is really make sure that the gathering is accessible to our Two-Spirit youth as well as to our elders. So yeah, people ask is like, do you have to be Native to come to the gathering? And yes and no. So basically, the gathering primarily is, for Native and Indigenous individuals and their families and partners. So if somebody's, partnered with somebody that's non-Native, of course, their partners are welcome as well. So if a person is non-Native and wants to attend, the only thing that we ask is that they be kind of sponsored by a Native, or Indigenous person to ensure that, that we maintain kind of that it is primarily for Native and Indigenous people. So we've had in the past, and it doesn't happen very much often anymore, but in the past there were non-Native folks that would come in and basically were kind of like taking photos during ceremony, which is not allowed depending on the ceremony that's happening. We're doing stuff that just, was not appropriate. And we'd end up having to, ask them to leave unless they were going to be respectful of the different events that were going on. So we just want to make sure that we're mindful in creating a safe space for individuals that are there, and not trigger any generational trauma. So.
And another thing, it is the Montana Two-Spirit Society. So the Two-Spirit people of Montana, the different tribes that we have here, I think we have 11 tribes. If you're Two-Spirit and want to come to our gathering, you're welcome. We don't charge you because it is the Montana Two-Spirit Society. And if you want to make a donation, that's fine. And we try to, David, when he writes his grants, always put something in there for a lot of our people that have to travel, like from the Fort Peck or the Crow or wherever. We try to have money to help them to get to and from the gathering. This is why David was saying we try, make sure everybody's accommodated somehow. So, because it's so important for our people to be there if they can.
Yeah, like I said, but we get people from all over the country and even from other countries as well. So last year we had somebody that was from Peru that attended and heard about this gatherings they were doing. So yeah, it's really exciting to see, folks coming from the different, Pacific Islanders as well. And it's just to ensure that the need for this education, to know that there's a lot of similarities with the different cultures with how Two-Spirit people were treated.
I think that is it for questions. In that case, thank you everybody for coming, and thank you for giving us this wonderful presentation. These recordings should be released, uploaded onto the University Center Facebook page within the next couple days. So if anyone would like to get to see that recording, that's where you can find it. I think that's it. Am I missing anything, Julia? I don't think so. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.